name is Traveler, it's Max, and I'm going to be talking to you about Chapter 2, the political, legal, and technological environment. So the first concept is individualism, which means people should be free to pursue economic and political endeavors without constraints from the government. This pretty much means that people have the right to do whatever they want in terms of freedom of speech, and they actually can follow their dreams. And the whole American dream concept is an individualistic belief. The next concept is collectivism, which views needs or goals of society as a whole as much more important than an individual's desires. So this pretty much means that a government is more important than an individual person, and things like family and community are more important than an individual self. The last ideology is socialism, which is a moderate form of collectivism in which there is government ownership of institutions and profit is not the ultimate goal. This means that the government has ownership over businesses and very heavy government regulation. It also means that the government owns property and they lease it out to you, like in China. You can't really own property. Now I'm going to talk to you about political systems, the first one being democracy. Democracy is a system of government that is controlled by citizens either directly or through elections. So this means that people elect a small percentage of people to represent a certain population, and these representatives pass laws and pass different bills, and they also pretty much just make policy for the rest of us. The next political system I'm going to talk to you about is totalitarianism, which means only one representative party exhibits control over every facet of political and human life. And this is very present in China, not China, North Korea, obviously, because they're not exposed to the kind of media we are exposed to and the kind of websites. They're also denied rights and civil liberties. So there are 4 different global foundations of law. The first being Islamic law. Islamic law is derived from interpretations of the Quran and teaching from Prophet Muhammad, and it's present in Middle Eastern countries such as Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan. The next one being socialist law, which is the origins of Marxist socialist system, and it's present in communist nations such as China and the former Soviet Union and Cuba. Common law is origins of English law, and it's present in England and the United States. And the last one is civil or code law, which is derived from Roman law and found in non-Islamic and non-socialist countries such as France and some Latin American countries. The basic principles of international law are principle of sovereignty, which means that every international government has the right to rule themselves. The next one being international jurisdiction, which pretty much governs the way governments have rights towards their people, whether they're in their country or a different part of the world. And then we have doctrine of comity, which pretty much means you have to respect the laws and institutions of other governments. The active state doctrine, which is jurisdictional principle of international law, that holds governments are considered invalid by U.S. courts, even if such law are illegal or inappropriate under U.S. law. The treatment of rights of aliens. So this pretty much means a country can deport people that aren't citizens of that country. And the form of hearing and settling disputes, which pretty much governs U.S. courts and the way they are dismissed and brought before foreigners and that kind of thing. This chapter also talks about corruption, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which pretty much means you can't bribe people in other countries with personal payment or political contributions. And the chapter also talks about technologies such as biotechnology, nanotechnology, satellites, supercomputers, that kind of thing, because it's growing all over the world, whether it be business to business or business to consumer. Things like cell phones and computers are pretty much controlling whether a country is successful in commerce or not. And that pretty much wraps it up for Chapter 2. Take it easy, Mr. Traveler.